Hello there. Now, although it's been feeling warmer at the moment, we are going to start this week's video by talking about frost, as obviously we had a lot of cold nights last week and quite a few frosty mornings too. This caused quite a widespread damage to lots of different crops, including maize crops, which is shown in this article from the Farmers Weekly website, but also to the viticulture industry and to soft fruits as well, just to name a few of these places that were affected by the frosts last week. Now, just how cold was it? Well, this map shows the last time that temperatures fell this cold in May. For many places this was 5 or 10 years ago, but for some places, particularly in those purple colours shown in western parts of Britain, it's been 30 or 35 years even since a night that cold during May, and some places even set a new station record, those shown outlined in red circles there, just showing how cold a period last week was and how cold those mornings were. So this map is showing which of the mornings of the week was the coldest in which different place. So starting with Scotland, we can see across the board there we've got a lot of blue, a lot of orange dots, showing that Monday and Wednesday morning were the coldest mornings here. However, if you look across southern Britain, you can see a lot of green dots, and those are showing that Tuesday morning was the coldest morning, and quite a lot of damages were done here as well. Looking further north, you can see a lot of red dots across Northern Ireland, North Wales, Northern England, showing Thursday morning as the coldest. And quite an interesting one to note, you can't see that many in the way of those purple dots, but across parts of East Anglia, parts of South East England and along the south coast, there are a few purple dots showing that Friday morning was indeed the coolest morning of the week here, with frost damages for many vineyards as well, which are grown in this region, with quite a lot of crops lost, sadly. So just showing the impact that a frost can have this late on in the season. Now, are we expecting any more air frost? Well, let's take a look at, on average, which month is the last spring air frost in. So generally, in the sort of last 30-year average, you can see a lot of those green and blue colours across the map, showing that generally the last air frost is some point in April, although there are a few pockets of yellow showing that some places seeing the average date of the last spring air frost in May, particularly in sort of rural spots, and indeed across the high ground across much of Wales, Northern England and into Scotland, where some places in Scotland are even going into June as the average date of the last air frost. For comparison, let's have a look at the latest last spring air frost. So for all of these places, when is the latest date that a spring air frost has occurred? So you can see across the map we're generally looking at the sort of yellowy orange colours, so we're looking at the latest spring air frost being at some point in May, although we've got pockets of those orangey red colours showing that can continue into June. And indeed, as we go further north and up to the higher ground in Scotland, you can see those purple colours showing that they can see air frost right through until July, seeing as it's up in the high ground up there. The risk of frost continues much longer than it would for further south places. Now, I'm sure many of you are wondering, is the risk of frost still continuing? Do I have to worry? Well, let's take a look at the temperature trend for the next few days, and this is in Leicester. And it's looking fairly warm, fairly mild at the moment. You can see temperatures in the sort of mid to high 20s over the coming days, dropping slightly as we head into the weekend, then picking up into next week. Those are the maximum temperatures. Then let's look at the minimum temperature. This will tell us whether we're going to see any more in the way of frost, and it does look like we're seeing quite mild nights. Temperatures, minimum temperatures generally in the sort of high 10s, low teens, so not looking like much to worry about in the near future, and indeed we may have seen the last air frost of the season. So let's take a look at the jet stream over the next few days. At the moment you can see it's quite weak at the moment, and we've got quite a ridged pattern with high pressure building across the UK. But as we set this into play, you can see it's starting to strengthen with those red colours showing those winds high up in the atmosphere strengthening, and they're starting to push areas of low pressure towards the UK. So really sort of becoming stronger as we head towards the weekend, suggesting that our weather is going to become a little bit more unsettled. So let's take a look at Wednesday. It's looking pretty good. We've got high pressure centred over the country to start off, and it looks like many places will have a dry and sunny start to the day, although there are a few mist and fog patches, a few areas of low cloud possible in the west. Generally though, as the day progresses, continuing dry and sunny for most places, the odd spot of rain possible in northern Scotland and indeed perhaps in Western Ireland later too, but generally a lovely day for most places with temperatures up to 27 or 28 Celsius possible in the southeast, so a very warm day as well. As we head sort of through and into Thursday, that cold front out to the west will push eastwards. It's fairly weak, so not too many places will see much in the way of rain, although there is the chance of some showers developing across eastern parts of England during sort of Thursday, so you could see one of them, so just something to watch out for, although many places will stay dry with light winds continuing for most places on Thursday. Now if we look towards Friday, we've got an area of low pressure out to the west, so things are starting to become more unsettled. You can see those isobars tight together there, indicating winds are going to pick up as we head into Friday, and a front out to the west is going to push across the UK during Friday morning and then be followed by more showery conditions, with any showers most frequent in the north and west. That theme really continuing into Saturday, although showers do seem a little less widespread as we've got high pressure building to the south by the end of Saturday. Worth noting though, those isobars still fairly close together, so it will be breezier at times and temperatures will be down a little bit from what we will see for tomorrow certainly, so much cooler as we head into Saturday when you compare it to the temperatures we're going to be seeing tomorrow. Now let's take a look at the spraying opportunities. So as we would expect for Wednesday, a lot of green colours shown on the map there, dry and sunny with light winds for many places with those green colours across much of the map. As we start into play though, with a little bit of rain around on Thursday, those colours retreating somewhat, and as winds pick up into Friday and Saturday, we've not got many spraying opportunities on the horizon. Although as we head towards the end of Saturday, a few green colours creeping back up the map again as high pressure sort of starts to build and those showers become a little less widespread. But generally the best day for doing any spraying will be Wednesday, maybe a small chance in the south on Saturday. Now if you ever need to speak to anybody about spraying opportunities or any work to do with the weather on your farm, you should speak to our forecasters. They're available every day between 6 AM and 6 PM, and you can reach them on 09065 777675, and we're always happy to answer your calls and chat through the weather. Now let's take a look at the forecast into early next week. So we can see high pressure still close by, generally looking like it'll be to the south of us, so generally sort of centred across northwestern Europe, keeping many places here dry and quite settled. So you can expect quite a nice start to next week for many places, plenty of sunshine, temperatures picking back up somewhat too. In the northwest, closer to our area of low pressure, things might be slightly breezier at times with the odd spot of rain, but generally looking fairly settled. Now heading a bit further into the middle of next week, still looking like we'll be generally dominated by high pressure, although it's out to southwest at this time, so ridging in from the southwest and bringing us into a more northwesterly flow. And you can see we have got an area of low pressure to the north of the country, so we can probably see quite a few showers in northwestern parts, occasionally making their way further southeast, and the air might be a little colder as well, but generally still settled with some sunshine as high pressure continues to dominate. Now this is also shown really well in this chart, showing the chance of a dry day, indicating the kind of dry period that we're expecting to continue to be in. So this chart showing that for tomorrow, for Wednesday, with that high pressure in control, most places have a very high, in fact all places have a very high chance of a dry day, so it's looking like a very pleasant day tomorrow. As we head into Thursday, remember that front might bring the odd spot of rain to some places, and there might be the odd shower kicking off across eastern parts as well. So you can see a few sort of lower chances of a dry day, but still many places are generally high or very high chances of a dry day on Thursday. So as we said, most places will stay dry. However, it is on Friday we've got that low pressure pushing rain across the country that we've got much lower chance of a dry day, with many places medium, but most places low or very low chance of staying dry. Onwards from that, a few northwestern parts have a low chance of staying dry on Saturday with those showers that we mentioned, but generally most places in the very high chance of a dry day, and that really is looking like it will continue over the coming weeks, with a lot of brown colours on this chart showing a very high chance of dry weather continuing, although as we head further out in time that chance becomes closer to sort of medium or high as confidence reduces slightly. Now let's take a look at the potential water loss, so giving us an idea of how soil moisture will be affected. With the weather on Wednesday staying dry with lots of sunshine, it'll be quite settled, and we're generally not expecting any water gain, and with the evaporation occurring we'll start to dip into the water loss side of things, as we have been for the last couple of weeks with such a dry and bright weather. Now into Thursday and Friday, where the chance of rain creeps up slightly, you can see some spikes there indicating that we'll see a little bit of a sort of a bulge in the rainfall totals, some of them picking us above the sort of zero line there, but generally following that, as things become dry again, we're heading back into the water loss territory, unfortunately, so not much in the way of rain expected in the future, unfortunately. Now let's take a look at our monthly forecast. So you can see across much of Europe, as we've been talking about, high pressure dominating into week 2, shown by those red colours there indicating above average pressure, particularly across sort of northwestern parts where that high pressure will be centred for the majority of the week. And this has had quite a direct impact on the precipitation anomaly, so you can see the brown colours across much of the map indicating drier than average conditions, really for the majority of Europe, although southeastern parts still remain slightly wetter than average. Looking at the temperatures as well, much of Western Europe looking to be warmer than average, with the general airflow coming from the south bringing up that warmer air, while the sort of northerly flow circulating around the edge of the high pressure will bring colder temperatures to much of Eastern Europe, as shown by those blue colours there. Looking to week 3, it looks like we've got a bit of a change. High pressure hasn't got such a strong hold across much of Europe, but still generally we've got high pressure to the northwest and also to the southeast, so I'm sure many places will remain settled as we head into week 3. However, we have got an area of low pressure across, or lower than average pressure, centred sort of close to Iberia, so you can imagine that there'll be spells of rain and some showers here, and generally little more in the way of unsettled weather to the sort of southwest. And you can see here, with that unsettled weather in the southwest, we've got wetter than average conditions, as shown by the green colours on the map. But elsewhere, most places in those browns still with drier than average conditions as expected for many places. Looking at the temperatures, for much of western and southwestern Europe, we're still looking at above average temperatures, with that southerly airflow drawing in the warmer air. Further north, across much of northern Britain, northern Scandinavia, lower than average temperatures at times may suggest that we'll see a sort of more northwesterly, northerly flow of air, bringing some cooler temperatures to us at times, but generally much of sort of southern Britain staying warmer than average. Looking towards week 4, the pressure pattern doesn't seem to be sort of much in the way of change. It's actually looking sort of fairly normal for the time of year. We've got a lot of those white colours across the map, so no sort of anomalies there. A few signals for higher than average pressure across northwestern parts and southeastern parts, as per the sort of chart we show for week 3. And the sort of lower than average pressure continuing across southwestern parts as well, close to Iberia. And you can see there's quite a strong signal actually for wetter than average conditions across Iberia into week 4, so that is something to bear in mind. However, those drier than average conditions still dominating across much of Europe as we head into week 4, with sort of little in the way of change as we head there, but still a little bit of uncertainty in the forecast, as Dan mentioned in last week's video, due to a lack of observations. Looking at temperatures, much of Europe remaining sort of above average temperatures, shown by those peachy colours there, with just a few spots lower than average, as you can see across Iberia and parts of northern Scandinavia. So what can we expect for the month ahead? Well, tomorrow, I'm sure you'll all be sure of by now, is going to be a lovely day for most places. Largely dry, sunny and very warm, particularly in the southeast. As we head into the coming days, the jet stream becomes a little stronger. It will become more unsettled, with a breeze picking up into Friday and some rain arriving as well. However, as we head into the following week, it will settle back down and temperatures will pick up once again, particularly in southern parts, and will generally have the influence of high pressure close by. And this really looks like it will continue for the next couple of weeks, more settled conditions and generally, staying warm and dry, although as we mentioned, a lower confidence in the forecast as we go a little bit further out. Thanks for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. As always, we'd love to hear from you. Please get in touch on Facebook and Twitter and leave us a comment down below. Thanks a lot.